Deion Sanders has won the Sports Person of the Year award. Okay? Sports Person of the Year award. And my first thing is, look, he made Colorado football a thing. Now, if we're honest, it was really only a thing for about a month and a half. But the fervor, it was the Macarena, right? Everybody was doing the Macarena, and then you just couldn't get the Macarena out of your head, right? Macarena, hey Macarena, right? Like you just sit there and can't get it out of your head. But for a short period of time, the Macarena was a big thing. Right Said Fred was a thing for a short period of time. Now, you might say, hey, Right Said Fred, I'm too sexy for my shirt. Like, that did not win Song of the Year. Why should Deion Sanders win Sports Person of the Year? Now, I would agree with you on some level that there wasn't enough substance winning 4 games after the previous team won 1. Considering Northwestern had a coach most people can't name that won 7 games after their coach was fired right before the season, and they won 1 last year. That's fair. There are better sports stories out there. There are more accomplished. Max Van Strappen, is that his name, right? F1. He dominated F1, and people say, well, he brought F1 to popularity. It could be Andy Reid, who, wins another Super Bowl, figures it out, right? Has become, maybe surpassed Belichick as the greatest coach of this generation. Like, we can have these arguments. Right? You could go to, why can't Nikola Jokic, right? Who he did the MVP thing, which became, I like Kendrick Perkins, made it about race more than about who the best player in the league is. And all they did was march through the NBA playoffs and win an NBA championship, the first one for the Denver Nuggets. Like, we could kind of go through, there's some better sports stories out there. There's some more accomplished people. But I would actually defend this in that, look, this award a long time ago stopped being about who the best athlete was. First of all, it's subjective. And second of all, Sports Illustrated has been trying to get more people's attention for years. Do they even have the magazine anymore? Does that exist anymore? And we'll be honest, when it jumped the shark, I don't know, 10 years ago, was when they started having regional covers of Sports Illustrated. Because when we were kids, and this does sound like old man, when I was a kid, when we were kids, being on the cover of Sports Illustrated was in many ways akin to and maybe better than winning a gold medal. That's the only thing, right? Like, it was the ultimate accomplishment. And in their effort to sell more magazines, somehow somebody was like, if we do regional magazines, we'll sell more in each region because they'll be region specific. Sounded like a good idea until you realize, like, this is dumb. It totally takes away from, becomes a sort of participation trophy. And look, Sports Illustrated is, it's owned by different people. It's now more digital. How do you have a digital magazine? Does anybody actually read it? They had the scandal earlier this week where they had some, they had artificial intelligence. That was who's writing these articles, all that stuff, right? But Sports Illustrated lost me a long time ago. I will tell you, though, that Deion Sanders, he brought attention back to college football, which we hadn't seen before. That's what he did. He brought attention back to college football, which we had not seen before. And the volume of people who were watching late-night Colorado games against Colorado State, literally everybody who was a fan of sports and some who weren't, were watching college football. Now, I don't know if it's worthy of Sports Person of the Year, but it definitely changed the sports landscape and the viewing calendar of all of us for at least a month. So I'm okay with it, but I'm okay with it because the Sports Illustrated thing, it jumped the shark a long time ago. Dan Byer, I give to you, we're about the same generation, have some thoughts that are the same, some that are dissimilar. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that they're in the business of selling magazines. As a college football fan, I didn't mind the attention that was brought. And I would say this, that I do even think it was a little bit longer than just even their start of the season, because it was one of the topics, if not the topic, in the offseason in being brought up about how good is Colorado going to be. Even the controversial statements, if you will, on what he did with the previous regime or their players in there. That was a part of the conversation, and you may not have liked that, but it got us talking and kept us talking. In the end, I do think that Sports Illustrated is in the popularity contest, and I think that we've seen that from time to time in the giving of this award. If there's any sort of close matchup, Doug, tie goes to the most popular person. And that's what I think ended up here. And it may not even be a tie. It just may go to the most popular person, and that's what I think happened in this case.
What do you think, Jay Stu?
Yeah, I think both of you guys make good points. Could I throw this part in there that, is sportsmanship still a word, or is that too gender specific? Sportsmanship. When I think about sports person of the year, I think that doesn't that person need to have the qualities that personify sportsmanship? And as a coach, maybe this story is neat that he turned around a program this quickly and he did it with, it was colorfully done, but I had so many issues with what he coached or what he didn't coach with his players and how his players acted and how they were poor in winning and even worse in defeat. I don't think that he personifies what good sportsmanship is. I think so. If I'm going to be literal with the identification of a sports person of the year, I always thought that they tried to have to live to a better standard. I'm not saying that Deion Sanders is a bad guy. I'm just saying that we saw a lot of things that just kind of made you cringe with the way this team went about it this year. So I think that's probably my biggest issue with this.
Oh, I would agree with that. We're actually lockstep in it. And it's interesting because so many of the things that Deion says, I completely agree with him about doing things the right way and he's right. Their team, the overall talent is going to get better and I think the league he's going to next year. I love the Big 12, but you take Texas and Oklahoma out of the Big 12 in football, and you're not going to have the same level of talent. And this was a great year for the Pac-12. He's going to be playing against lesser competition, and he's probably going to have more talent on his roster. But I agree with a lot of the things that he said and the realities to it. And he talks about the right things and about coming to Colorado, not to make money, but to get an education, to play good football and have a great time. And, oh, yeah, by the way, if you become an NFL player, that's great. The problem is in the execution of it is you can, the way in which his sons acted, frankly, is not okay. They're a reflection of what's being coached. And that's, I think, most everybody's takeaway. And the firing of Sean Lewis or demoting of Sean Lewis mid-season when the offense was the only thing you had going for you. I mean, that part is crazy. So I'm with you. But I don't actually think that's what the award is about. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm more with Dan in that this is about a popularity contest. He was, I don't want to say a one-hit wonder, but here's a Hall of Fame player that made us pay attention to a school that most people had not paid attention to in a long, long time, and made college football. Honestly, I really think I said he saved college football. I don't know if I want to go that far, but he definitely really helped college football and energize it to a different fan base and brought back people who hadn't watched in the past or brought back people who were NFL people. And not all of it is perfect, but I do see some of the positives. Is it worthy of Sports Person of the Year? And you're right, Jay Stu. There's a sportsmanship sort of element to it. I don't think that's ever probably calculated in this. All right, so Jay Stu, let me just, off the top of your head, give me somebody that you would give the award to.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it, and I mean,
can I interject?
Go ahead.
Of course.
I did want to do this in game time. I did want to draft our names, because I do think that there are a bunch of names that when we think of who we are, not that I want to ruin it, but
this calendar
I wanted
year?
to do it in 30 minutes. If that's
let's
okay.
do it. That's a good tease.
I do want to say something though to the point about the sportsmanship thing, because I think there's two things. Number one, there are a lot of bad sports in college football. We get irate when people plant a flag at midfield. We may not like Shedeur Sanders, but like flashing the Rolly to the Arizona State fans. But, in my mind, that's pretty minor for, it is what it is. The thing with this award, though, is that it fits. They use the sportsmanship or they use the good story only to their advantage.
Right.
And so, like in 2020, obviously a COVID year, there were a lot of, COVID and social, justice nominees for that award. Looking back as well, there's certain things that are pointed out. In 2017, when the Astros won the World Series, Jose Altuve got it, but he shared it with J.J. Watt because of what J.J. Watt did for Houston in the Hurricane Harvey sort of, relief fund and raising, almost $40 million for that. So they'll use it to their advantage in naming it, but they'll turn the blind eye to the point of if you think that there was some bad sportsmanship. So I do think that's...
But like wearing a buzzer on your chest when you at bat?
He did not... Jose Altuve has not won it since 2017. But, they'll use the thing for it to, like, aid their case. But, I guess in Jason's defense, they'll just turn a blind eye to it if, they have other ulterior motives.